Zimbabwe loses about 160 million US dollars from gold smuggled out of the country every month. It loses that much, and yet our hospitals do not have medicines. And to run all the 6 big central hospitals only costs 55 million US dollars. So it shows you the extent to which the smuggling is not only affecting the taxpayer, but it's also affecting the quality of life for Zimbabweans who have no access to public services. We do not have clean drinking water, even in the most affluent of areas in Harare and the rest of Zimbabwe. In fact, the central bank, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, issued a statement 3 weeks ago saying that it is not under sanctions as a bank, and also saying that gold from Zimbabwe is not under any form of sanctions. In Zimbabwe, the law says the central bank is the sole buyer for the gold, and so it's not sanctioned. So it's not true that sanctions will be forcing people to smuggle. This is just ordinary criminality, which is powered by political elites and their surrogates.
Well, one wonders, after the hegemony of former President Mugabe, one wonders what exactly has changed, because a lot of Zimbabweans found life in Zimbabwe particularly difficult under Mugabe, and some people were excited, if not more people were excited, when he left office. Now, what has changed, or is it the same thing?
Well, things have become worse than they were under Robert Mugabe. The levels of corruption on steroids, the massive looting of public funds, and the plan of the country's natural resources. You mentioned in your introduction that we've got a lot of minerals. Zimbabwe's got about 65 minerals, but at times we do not have paracetamol in our hospitals. At times we do not have the most basic of drugs in our hospitals. Right now, Zimbabwe does not have a single working radiotherapy cancer machine in the whole public health system. It doesn't have MRI scans. It doesn't have X-rays. Hospitals where you would expect it to have X-rays. Doctors earn as little as $300 US. We do not have clean drinking water. And this is all caused by this massive plunder of the country's natural resources. And this has been made worse after Robert Mugabe left. The use of violence to try and suppress citizens is also exacerbated. And, just last week when the Al Jazeera documentary came out, we were threatened as journalists with imprisonment if we continued talking about it the way I'm talking about it to you now. We are supposed to be quiet. We're supposed to watch in silence and not say anything. The president's spokesperson, George Charamba, said that you will end up in prison if you continue talking about it. So things have become worse under the current president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, than they were under Robert Mugabe. And it's ironic because the bar was on the floor, but it's now in the basement.
Wow. So it's particularly concerning given that Zimbabwe has dealt with inflation unheard of probably anywhere else. One would think that if Zimbabwe were selling her minerals and earning in dollars, in foreign currency, then it should actually help the economy. Isn't the government somehow ashamed that this documentary has not only come out, but they have nothing to defend themselves with in the faces of Zimbabweans?
Well, the government is not ashamed at all. In fact, it's doubling down. They're saying that this is a propaganda piece of work. They're saying that this is the work of Western countries. Al Jazeera is owned by the Qataris government. It's from the East, not the West. But our government is not ashamed, even putting such feeble and infantile arguments about what we have been seeing and what we are still going to see, because this is a 4-part series. We've only seen 2 of the documentaries. And the government is also trying to now shift the attention of people focusing on side shows. Like, they've been accusing me that I'm the person behind the documentary, which is laughable. They've accused the opposition leadership for being behind the documentary. And the central issue is that regardless of who is behind the documentary. It's not local journalists. This is an international outfit. But regardless of whoever is behind the documentary, the government is not prepared to face to the facts that are in the documentary. This is not hearsay or reportage based on what someone told somebody. These are the key players who are talking for themselves, not knowing that they were being recorded. I went to prison 3 times in 2020 and 2021. And one of the reasons why I went to prison is that I was arrested for exposing one of the characters in the documentary film after she had been caught with gold trying to smuggle it to Dubai. I exposed that she was going to get bail unopposed. Up to now, I'm still on trial, which is basically political persecution. They've taken title deeds of my home. I had to pay a bail reconnaissance of $20,000. So the government is not really interested in fighting corruption. The Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission in 2021 spent about $33.3 million without a single conviction to its name. So it shows that the issues of corruption are not taken seriously in this country.
How is the Zimbabwean government supporting the strength of the Zimbabwean dollar? Because they're supposed to at least help the Zimbabwean dollar gain strength to be a currency worthy of use for Zimbabweans and hopefully on the international markets. But given what inflation has done to Zimbabwe, given what corruption, like this documentary has revealed, is doing to Zimbabwe, is the government doing anything else to help the spending power of the Zimbabwean dollar?
Inflation is the highest in the world at the moment. Zimbabwe's inflation is the highest in the world. All this plundering and smuggling of minerals shows that the strength of the Zimbabwean dollar is weaker because of these corrupt activities. When one mines gold, they're supposed to pay taxes, they're supposed to pay royalties, and there's a surrender requirement. When you bring back your money, you're supposed to surrender a certain percentage of it in US dollars, and then you get the rest in local currency. But they're not doing it, and that's why the economy is weak.